quote Michael Beale less than 6 weeks ago, integrity and loyalty are big things for me. And if they are the values you live by, you have to be strong. I've been all in here and I've asked other people to be all in. So I can't be the first person to run away from the ship. I don't think we're anywhere near where I want QPR to be. We have a lot to do, but I'm excited by it. Now, some 40 days later, he's the manager of Glasgow Rangers, not Queen's Park Rangers. Dave and Brian have joined me to share their thoughts on the situation. Starting with you, Dave, are you surprised by the sudden move elsewhere?
Not hugely surprised. I think after the Wolves thing, the noise he made, like, I'm definitely not going, definitely not going. But then a week later, to be at that Glasgow Rangers game when Van Bronckhorst was under pressure, did smell a bit of, hang on, what's going on here? And this story kind of was doing the rounds last week, and he did nothing to deny it.
Yeah.
So I wasn't hugely surprised this morning when it was obviously coming out. I mean, it's surprising after what he said, but he has said a lot of things and then done the opposite quite soon after. So, not completely shocked.
Are you disappointed, Brian?
Yeah, I would be a liar if I said different. I am disappointed. Perhaps I'm old-fashioned. I think that some sort of loyalty should be, if you're going to mention the words loyalty and integrity, I think you should at least try and do your best to keep to them. If he hadn't have said that, I think it wouldn't have been so bad. But no, I am disappointed, bitterly disappointed.
Yeah, I think that's the key thing. If he hadn't come out with all those quotes, I think people would maybe be a little bit more accepting of the situation. But because he kind of like nailed his colours to the flag and did stuff, didn't he? Why did he say all that stuff if he knew he'd go to Rangers? Because he must have known in his heart, right, if Rangers' job comes up, I'm going. So why did he say all that stuff?
Yeah, I just don't get. That's what I don't get. Why come out? I don't think he had to go as strong as he did. He could have just said, I'm happy to stay and, all that sort of stuff, but leave all the integrity stuff out of it. It was just odd because I remember we played Birmingham on the Friday and I watched it on Sky, and before the game, he was talking all the same sort of stuff, how I'm here for the long haul. And the next day, he's in Glasgow watching his new team play. You think, well, how does them two things add up? Why weren't you going to watch our next opponents? Why are you looking at Glasgow? I know he used to coach them, but come on, you've got a job here. I get people are ambitious and want to move on to bigger things, but he's not treated QPR well at all.
Yeah, I'd actually go further than that. I'd say he's probably not treated Wolves that well either, because I think he was flirting with them as well. Yeah, that's the truth. Because if the media is right on this, that he said that he kept a distance from Wolves and didn't contact them. But I'm now hearing in the media that what he actually was doing was going along and giving a presentation to them. And if that's true, that is not somebody with integrity. That is not somebody with loyalty. And if he'd have stayed here, even with the Rangers one, perhaps he turned that one down as well eventually. You'd have to wonder when would be the next occasion on which he would go. He's not to be trusted in that respect, which is really sad. I hate saying that, but if you mention the words loyalty and integrity, I'm sorry, that's not right.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned the Wolves match there, and Dave, do you think we played Cardiff, didn't we? And we did the preview show after that, and obviously we went top of the league, we won, we played well. Do you think because of that, it played a part in why he didn't go to Wolves?
Definitely played a part because we won. We played so well that night, didn't we? We went top of the table, and all of a sudden it was like, actually, I could do something here. I could get this lot up, and I think that kind of had a big influence on it. But then you got to wonder, did he have the word that the Rangers job was coming up in a couple of weeks? Because it's not like 6 months ago, is it? It's a couple of weeks. So, I just find the whole thing quite odd and just so disappointing. Like I said, I get that people, you want to move on to bigger and better things, and you get a call in from a big club, you go. But he's achieved nothing really. I mean, we've had a good start. There's hope and it's potential, but it's only potential. Are we better off than we were this time last year? I'm not particularly convinced that much better, are we?
No, we're actually a little bit behind.
Mark Warburton won't get linked to all these jobs, was he? I just find it very odd.
I think even when he was with Wolves, I'm sure that he backed down because he was told on the quiet, Rangers' job could be coming up. Hang on there, just wait. and he's jumped ship. And fair enough, as you say, Dave. He's left because he wants to go for bigger and better things. Well, good luck to him at Rangers. He may succeed there. I'm not convinced. But I mean, really, are Rangers going to be happy with him being there? They'll never know when he's going to jump ship from them as well.
Yeah, I mean, with hindsight, you have to think he didn't go to Wolves because, like you're saying, he knew there was a chance he could get the Rangers job.
Yeah.
But then it comes back to, why did he say all the stuff he said? He made it sound like he was at QPR for the next year, didn't he? He didn't need to go that far. You said it there before, Dave. He should have just said, I'm enjoying the job. I look to continue while I can, or something along those lines. Why did he go so far if he knew he could leave? Because it's now made him look worse, I feel.
You see, but when you say that sort of stuff to the QPR fans, you think, right, the QPR fans are bought in now and they're all with you. But it's not just QPR fans who heard that. Everyone heard it. You see, he's getting stick on TalkSport from Simon Jordan and people like that.
And Chris Sutton.
Everyone heard all this, and it's like, you've made a bit of an idiot of yourself here. And, all right, if it goes well at Rangers, great. It'll all be forgotten for him, won't it? But you think if it doesn't go well, who's going to hire him in the Championship? If you know that he's off first, chance he gets. I don't think he's done his long-term prospects that much good by doing this. I'm biased, I'm a QPR fan, but I think he should have stayed to the end of the season, see if he could achieve something here and then move on. I think he'd learn a lot from doing it. It would help him and his career as well. But he's gone now. We move on. The club's been around a lot longer than him, and we'll be here a lot longer still, won't we? We just have to move on and see what the next one is.
Yeah, I think you'd put it on the forum actually, Dave, that he had a fondness for Rangers, fair enough. But he could have built an affinity with QPR, didn't he? If he'd stayed, he didn't give us long enough to become part of who he wanted to be and stuff like that. I mean, how about giving the club who's just giving you your first big opportunity a fair chance to become a part of your heart as well?
Yeah, definitely. We've had it before with managers who have had a good affiliation with other clubs. When Warnock come in, he was talking about how great he had at Palace and Sheffield United and that. But he stayed and he grew an affiliation with QPR, and other managers have done it as well. You see the same with players as well. I'm sure Chris Willock wants to go and play for Liverpool or someone like that in the future. But until you actually achieve something, he ain't going to do that, is he? And that's why I find the whole Beale thing odd. I don't see what he's done at QPR to get a job like that. I just don't see it.
Ryan,
I was just going to say that, in all fairness, let's put the other perspective on this. We've seen a lot of managers already in this season sacked. So, we have to put it into perspective. The clubs are pretty ruthless as well. But I think the only difference here is I keep coming back to the fact that the clubs have never mentioned integrity or loyalty in their statements,
Yeah, that's a really good point, because you're saying there about his record at QPR doesn't really warrant a job of that size, and it doesn't. His record's okay. We're 7th. He's won as many games as he's lost. We've actually not scored in 8 of his matches in charge out of 21. That's quite a lot. We actually seem to have been on the slide recently as well. And when you look at the upcoming fixtures, Burnley, first match back, Preston away, always, we won once there in, 30 years or something. We've got tough matches over Christmas. It's not inconceivable when you look at it that we could have been 10 matches without a win. And then we'd have all been calling for his head anyway. I think it's just the way he's gone against everything he said, and it feels like a bit like he's used us. That's what's leaving the sour taste, rather than the fact that he's actually gone, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's it for me. Sorry, Brian, go on.
No, you're absolutely right. I totally agree.
Yeah, for me, I don't blame him for taking the job. I mean, if you get offered this sort of job, you take it. It's a big step up. But it's the way he's gone about it and the things he said. Yeah, it just doesn't sit right with me. It's not the right way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, you say a big step up there, and this is a question maybe. I'm going to hide myself here from the Rangers fans who maybe possibly watch this, but is it really that much of a big step up? Scottish football. I mean, when he said he wanted to manage in the Premier League, I thought he meant the English Premier League. It's a 2-team league. He's almost on a hide into nothing as well now for the first 6 months of his job, isn't he? Because what can he really achieve in the rest of this season unless he thinks he can catch Celtic? But it seems a bit unrealistic. Are Rangers as big as it's made out?
I think they are a big club, and he's going to. Are they still in Europe? They've gone to Europa League. I'm not sure if they're in Europe this year, but they will be next season. That'll be the thing that will probably drive him to do well there. But yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because I think he's got a really tough job there. I think that's a difficult time to take over Rangers. Celtic look very strong at the minute. They're quite a long way clear at the minute. He's up against it to do anything this season, and they won't muck about. If you don't win, you've got to win something. If you're a Glasgow Rangers manager, Mark Warburton found that out. If he didn't win something, he was booted out, wasn't he? And he'll be the same. He'll need to do something, pretty impressive, I think.
Yeah, but be fair on this, Dave. At least it'll be easy for him at the press conferences. He'll just keep mentioning Rangers the same as he did before.
Yeah.
Brian, from a QPR perspective, how do you think the players are going to take it, especially the likes of Powell, Balogun, Clark-Salter, those ones who he quoted as saying he convinced them to buy in and he wouldn't jump ship, and now he has. Do you think there's going to be a few unhappy campers?
Yeah, that crossed my mind as well. Once I had sort of calmed down a bit and thought about this, that was a worry for me as well. There are a lot of players who came, we must presume they came because of him. And the question now is, will they perform for the new manager just as well? I know they're professionals. I appreciate that. But maybe it's a bit of difference between them playing for their manager and for their professionalism, or just the professionalism. They've got to gel with the new manager. It's not that easy. They all talk about the gaffer and whatever and the boss, but it's earning the respect of the players and the players delivering. It's going to be a hard time. And we've got players who were brought in to do a task. We don't know what the new manager is going to do in terms of the style of play. We really don't. So players like Laird and Powell were brought in to be running wing backs effectively. Who knows how we're going to go? I hope we're not going to go back to kick and run. I really do hope that, but there we go.
Dave, you worry about the squad maybe? I mean, he's kind of sent a little bit of a message that QPR are just a stepping stone to go elsewhere, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind players using QPR as a stepping stone if they achieve something here. There's no point coming in for 5 minutes and then going straight away. You've got to actually do something. We've seen players in the past, our whole history's got a load of players that come in. Les Ferdinand did brilliantly and then moved on, and, there's so many, isn't there? You can rattle through them all. But the worry I'd have is the ones that he signed in the summer. Someone like Kenneth Powell, who's come over to a new country, and he's settled in. He's come because of Beale. How is he going to feel about it? The loan players, there's no doubt we got those loans because we had Beale as manager. Will they get recalled in January? There's already talk of the Man United bringing Laird back in January, maybe sending him somewhere else. I think that is going to have an effect, and it's just. It's hard. It's maybe come at a good time because we're not playing at the minute. We've got 2 weeks and to our next game. It's in the World Cup break. But it's such destabilising for the club at the minute. We've got to try and find a new manager quickly. I'm sure they had all their plans for the January transfer window all lined up. That's up in smoke now, and it's going to be a new manager who might want something else. It's a very difficult time now.
Yeah.
Go on. I was just going to say, you're talking about that. I wonder actually what Lee Hughes and Amit and Salez actually really do feel about Beale's departure. Was it so well telegraphed that they knew it was coming, or did they perhaps think this was just another one of those ones that Beale was going to flirt with and reject, because of his integrity? I guess we'll never know, but you have to wonder how well set up the club was to suddenly say, right, now we start looking again. And it's not just, I would make this point, it's not just a new manager we're looking for. We're looking for 3 backroom staff as well. They've gone. He's taken 3 of his mates with him, that he was working with quite successfully. They've gone to Ibrox as well.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose the question now is, who is it going to be? I don't particularly worry about it from the footballing side of things, because the club's kind of made the noises for a while now that this is the club we are and the way we're going to play, and we're going to develop players. I don't think we're suddenly going to get a Sean Dyche or someone like that. He just doesn't fit what we're supposed to be doing. But it's obviously in the middle of the season. It's never as easy to recruit a manager. Any names you'd like to see in the mix, Dave?
Well, there's the obvious ones are like Neil Critchley, who left Blackpool in the summer. He kind of fits in. He was in the frame in the summer, wasn't he? You've got who's the guy at Plymouth? I can't remember his name. I've gone completely blank. There's the guy at Ipswich, McKenna. There's a few around at the minute. obviously the big name one would be Chris Wilder, but I'm not sure he'd fit in with the finances we've got here. But I'd personally be surprised if it wasn't Critchley. I think that seems an obvious move. You could get him in the next few days and then have a little bit of time with the players. That seems the obvious one to me. But who knows? I'd never thought Mick Beale would get the job in the summer. So it could be someone that we just haven't thought of.
Yeah, you're right though about Neil Critchley. He's available. He can come in straight away. There's no question about compensation, which there would be with Mark Robbins or any of the others. So it makes sense.
Yeah, the only other name I'd add into the mix would be John Eustace. I know he's maybe not realistic because we'd have to pay compensation for him, and he probably wouldn't want to come here because we overlooked him in the summer. But if we could choose somebody, I think he'd be someone that you'd at least maybe approach. He's showing at Birmingham that he's obviously a very good manager. The way he seems to have galvanised the whole club there and changed the training ground around and all sorts. On paper, he looks like he would be a good choice, but I don't think it's particularly realistic. And I agree, it's probably going to be someone who's available, cheap, free, and can walk into the job, because that's what we're going to need, because we've got a match approaching in less than 2 weeks, haven't we now? I do agree with what you said there, Dave, about the summer interview process. They made a lot of sound bites about how they'd been really thorough and interviewed X amount of candidates. And Beale was a left field name when he first came out. Maybe they're going to surprise us with another person from that kind of area where no one's particularly aware of them as much because they recruited them or researched them in the summer.
Yeah, they said today, didn't they, that they had lots of names in the frame already. You don't know if that's nonsense or not, really, do you? They're not going to say we haven't got a clue what we're doing, are they? But hopefully they've got someone in mind and they can do it quickly, because they need to. Like I said, we need to do it quickly.
Yeah, you're right. We've got at the moment. Actually, it's quite interesting. Paul Hall has stepped up from the B team, managing that, to do the first team squad. Not Chris Ramsey. That did sort of surprise me, I'll be honest. I thought maybe they'd stick Chris Ramsey back in there if he was willing to do it as an interim manager, but obviously not.
Tell you what, if he wins the first match, say he gets a match because they've not recruited someone, knowing QPR, he'll just be given the job straight away. You only have to win one match and you're here. Well,
if he wins against Burnley, I think I'd want him.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He'd be first name on the team sheet, first name on the betting odds if he wins one game. Thank you both for joining me anyway. Thank you for watching as well. Share your views and comments. And of course, come on Celtic. Sorry, I mean, come on yours.
Yeah, the real Rangers.
We know who we are. You know who we are. We are QPR.